ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in place, the Lebanese authorities are now turning their attention to rebuilding the areas most affected by the Israeli attacks. Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belousov arrived Friday in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea on an official visit and met with the country's leader, Kim Jong-Un. President of Brazil, Luis Inacio Lula Silva, received the President-elect of Uruguay, Yamandu Orsi, with an agenda centered on trade agreement between European Union and Mercosur. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hezbollah, the Lebanese authorities are now turning their attention to rebuilding the areas most affected by the war. Lebanese officials, led by interim Prime Minister Najib Mikati, are expected to visit Gulf countries to seek funding for reconstruction. The World Bank estimates the damage to housing in Lebanon alone at $2.8 billion, with 99,000 homes partially or totally destroyed by Israel's aggression. Intense Israeli airstrikes over the past 2 months have flattened entire neighborhoods in eastern and southern Lebanon, as well as in the southern suburbs of Beirut. And in Palestine, Israeli occupation forces killed 5 humanitarian workers in the southern Gaza Strip. An Israeli drone fired at a vehicle belonging to the humanitarian organization World Central Kitchen. The car was traveling on the Salah al-Din road. Meanwhile, another attack on Friday night targeted a residential apartment in Sheikh Radwan neighborhood northwest of Gaza, where at least 10 civilians were killed and others wounded. Since October 7, 2023, the Israeli army has carried out a genocidal aggression against the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip, claiming the lives of more than 40,000 citizens, most of them women and children. And several organizations defending the rights of Palestinian prisoners denounced the use of different methods of torture by Israel against Palestinian detainees. According to these organizations, thousands of inmates in prisons and in camps administered by the Israeli army have been facing harsh conditions since the beginning of its war against the Gaza Strip in October 2023. They also denounced the use of starvation, sexual aggression, sleep deprivation, beatings, among others, at an unprecedented level in the history of the conflict. Moreover, Israeli forces prevent torture victim prisoners from having access to medical treatment. Since the beginning of the new phase of violence, at least 45 Palestinian prisoners have died in Israeli prisons. In other news, the president of Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, ratified to France the obligation to close the military bases on its territory. Diomaye Faye warned that he will not allow the presence of armed forces of any nation because that would conflict with the sovereignty of the country. Faye warned that he will not allow the presence of armed forces of any nation because that would conflict with the sovereignty of the country. The president spoke about a forthcoming update of the military cooperation doctrine. In this regard, moreover, he stressed the need to reconsider the nature of France's partnership with Senegal and redesign it on the basis of cooperation and mutual respect, devoid of any military presence. Faye also stressed his government's interest in moving towards the diversification of its international partnerships and away from foreign military presence.
Le Sénégal est un pays indépendant.
Senegal is an independent country, it is a sovereign country, and sovereignty does not accept the presence of military bases in a...
According to Georgia's Ministry of Interior, more than 100 people were detained during an opposition rally outside Parliament in Tbilisi on Friday night. A report said the arrests were made on charges of vandalism or disobeying police orders. Protesters began gathering outside the Parliament building in Tbilisi last Thursday after the country's Prime Minister, Irakli Kobylidze, suspended negotiations with the European Union over Georgia's membership of the regional bloc until 2028. The country's President Salome Zurabishvili joined the demonstrators last night, who attacked police officers with blunt objects. And in Ireland, the left-wing party Sinn Féin is leading the polls ahead of the 2024 Irish general election with 21.1% of the vote, according to national pollsters. Pollsters interviewed over 5,000 citizens in more than 200 polling stations across the country. Center-right parties, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, obtained 21 and 19.5% respectively, while others such as the Green Party, the Labour Party and the Social Democrats obtained less than 10% support. Early elections to the Irish Assembly were held this Friday after the dissolution of the lower house last November 8th by the President of the country, Michael Higgins. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belousov arrived Friday in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea on an official visit and met with the country's leader Kim Jong-Un. During the meeting, Kim Jong-un warmly greeted Belousov, who visited Pyongyang after 5 months, and held a friendly and trusting conversation with him. The DPRK leader noted the strong relations between the two countries and expressed the will to expand and develop more vigorously ties between the two nations in all fields, including politics, economics, and military affairs. Kim Jong-un also discussed the Ukrainian conflict with Belousov, saying that the recent anti-Russian measures taken by Washington deserve the condemnation of the international community as irresponsible acts that foment a protracted conflict and threaten all mankind. The Russian armed forces carried out attacks on Ukrainian military airfields and energy facilities in charge of operation of the country's military-industrial complex. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, operational tactical aviation unmanned aerial attack vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of troops groupings of the armed forces of the Russian Federation attacked the infrastructure of military airfields and energy facilities that ensure the functioning of the Ukrainian military-industrial complex. Ministry detailed that the concentrations of Ukrainian troops and war equipment in 132 areas were also attacked. Weather agency Environment Canada issued a snow squall warning for Barrie, Collingwood and Hillsdale, with hazardous weather expected to begin late Friday and continue through the weekend or longer. Flurries are forecast to begin Friday evening and continue through the weekend according to the alert, which was operated from a snow squall watch on Friday afternoon. Furthermore, snowfall amounts are expected to vary widely depending on location. The weather agency says some areas could get well in excess of 40 centimeters by late Sunday. The heavy snowfall could lead to power outages. And the 21st edition of the Marrakech International Film Festival begins on Friday evening in Al Bayt, Morocco, with a red carpet due to the conflicts in the Middle East. The gala was attended by stars such as David Cronenberg, Tim Burton, Monica Bellucci, and Luca Guadagnino. This year, the festival will be chaired by the Italian Luca Guadagnino. Furthermore, its members will choose the best among 14 films that are first or second feature films by new directors from countries such as Japan, Palestine, Egypt, Myanmar, Argentina, and Poland. The aim of the festival is to discover new talents in world cinema. And the exhibition titled Cartas para Mañana by Cuban visual artists Sergio Marrero and Reinaldo Cid opened on Friday at the Galeano Gallery in Havana. In this event, it was exhibited as a suggestive sample based on drawing and everyday objects. Reference the baroque and fantastic virtuality of the old cabinets of curiosities exhibited in Cuba during the 16th to the 18th century. Sid explained that his show is about new ways of assuming the process of photography. This exhibition was organized as a collateral project to the 15th Havana Biennial, which is being held in the Cuban capital until February 28th. And the final of Copa Libertadores 2024, which will define the champion of the continental competition, will have Atlético Mineiro facing Botafogo this Saturday at the Monumental Stadium in Buenos Aires, Argentina. In the event of a tie during the game, a 30-minute extra time will be played, and if the tie remains, there will be a penalty shootout. It's worth mentioning that Atlético Mineiro reaches their final after winning its only title in 2013, led by Ronaldinho. Botafogo, on the other hand, is entering the decisive match in the continental tournament for the first time. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The President of Brazil, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, received the President-elect of Uruguay, Yamandu Orsi, on Friday with an agenda centered on the trade agreement between the European Union and Mercosur. After the meeting held at the Brazilian presidency, Orsi said that most of the meeting with Lula was devoted to analyzing the situation and the possibilities of Mercosur to seal the agreement with the European Commission, in the midst of a fierce rejection by several countries such as France. In this context, Orsi congratulated Lula for his definition of the need to link up with Europe, adding that Brazil and its economy are very important for Uruguay's development. And former President of Uruguay, Pepe Mujica, celebrates the left returning to power in his country. The 89-year-old former president praised the victory of Yamandu Orsi in Sunday's presidential election, which saw the left return to power in this country of 3.4 million people. Fully recovered from cancer, which had brought him to the brink of death, the former president said this victory feels like a farewell prize. Mujica, who governed Uruguay between 2010 and 2015, assures he will not hold any position in next Frente Amplio government. Meanwhile, in Ecuador, the Ministry of Energy and Mines announced that the duration of their program's blackouts will be between 5 and 7 hours per day. Scheduled blackouts will continue during the first week of December, regardless of President Daniel Noboa's announcement that the blackouts will end in December. The Ministry of Energy pointed out that the rationing could be suspended by the end of 2024. It also detailed that the schedules will be available through official channels and the communication platforms of the electricity companies, and assured that blackouts will be reduced to a minimum. In Haiti, National Police Deputy Spokesman Lionel Lazare announced that several members of the barbecue armed gang were killed during recent operations. Several gang members were killed in exchanges of fire with security forces, while others were arrested along with suspected participants in self-kidnappings. It was also reported the confiscation of weapons used by the gangs, specifically 3 drones, 13 firearms, 10 vehicles, and 3 motorbikes. In addition, Haitian police took control of police buildings, dismantled a car theft ring, issued arrest warrants, and seized thousands of rounds of ammunition. The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, proposed on Friday to build a new power of communication network to confront the disinformation promoted by the hegemonic media and social medias. During his speech at the International Conference in Solidarity with Palestine, held in Caracas, the president urged to achieve new consensus to do more for Palestine, adding that in the world there are still many people uninformed about what is really happening in the Gaza Strip. In this context, he mentioned that the elites of the United States and Israel are planning a war in the communication area with the aim of destroying history and identity of peoples, replacing it with anti-values and normalizing fascism.
Es necesario construir hindú.
It is necessary to build a power, a new power, a strong communicational network for the truth of the peoples, throughout the length of all the continents, with all the languages, and in all the social networks existing today, and in the social networks that will be born as an alternative, because alternative social networks are going to be born. It is one of the great battles we are fighting today.
And in Cuba, humanitarian aid from Venezuela was delivered at the Mariel port in a gesture of solidarity that has always characterized bilateral relations between the two nations. In this context, 200 tons of construction supplies were received, aiming at assisting communities. In addition, donations from Venezuelan private entrepreneurs were also sent to help due to the recent climate events. The reception was attended by the Vice Minister of Domestic Trade, Aracelis Cardoso Hernandez, representatives of the Ministry of Foreign Trade, and officials of the Embassy of Venezuela in Cuba. It was also emphasized that the union of the people is the only means to overcome adversities. And November 30th marks the debut in Seattle, United States, of the anti-globalization movement after 50,000 demonstrators prevented in the year 1999 the opening ceremony of the WTO summit from taking place. The worldwide anti-globalization movement is characterized by its rejection of the neoliberal capitalist model and the demand for social justice. It includes environmentalists, feminists, anarchists, Christians, former communists, defenders of human rights, and others. Their main strategy consists of taking advantage of the meetings of the most important multilateral organizations to call for massive parallel demonstrations, as they did with great echo in Seattle, Washington, and Prague. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.